how do you reintroduce empathy in organizations, in universities, in governments across the world? And I think the best way for me to illustrate that is to go back in time for around 2 years, where a large pharma company approached me. This company has been around for nearly 100 years. It's the largest player in the respiratory field. And these guys said to me, hey, can you come in and help us to reconnect ourselves with our patients? So, of course, I think you know me by now. My first question to them was, when did you last spend time with your patients? And they said to me, never, never, never. I said, why? Well, because compliance won't allow it. BS, I said to them. So I went straight to compliance, talked to them, and guess what? They never really been asked by the folks in the company if they could do this. So I persuaded them. We went into patient homes. And we end up in a home of a 28-year-old lady, wonderful lady, which have had asthma her entire life. And I asked her one of these questions, which I think, thinking about it later on, probably was a bit too tough. I said to her, listen, I can see that you've been very affected by asthma through your whole life. Tell me about how your childhood were. And she starts to cry. And she tells me a story about how she was teased in school, how she had no friends, how she felt like really a loser. She actually said to me that she was never invited to parties because she was and I quote her, a disgrace for human mankind. I don't need to tell you how that affects you. But I said to her as well, I can see that you have quite a lot of self-confidence today. What's the reason why? And then she pauses and grabs her handbag. And out of her handbag, she picks up a straw. And she said, this is the reason why. I said, what do you mean? I always give a new straw to any of my new friends or colleagues, and I ask them to hold themselves from the nose and breathe through this straw. And immediately they feel how it feels to be an asthma patient. I am transporting the concept of empathy between me and them. Now, I was inspired a lot by that idea, so I went to the senior management of the company and I did a session, an experiment with all of them. We switched off the light. I had a soundtrack playing and heavy breathing sound like this. And then I gave everyone a straw and asked them to hold themselves from the nose and breathe through the straw. After 30 seconds, the first person, an executive, spit out the straw and said, this is ridiculous. Who can live like this? And I paused for a second and I said to him, this is how your patients live for every minute of their entire life. They're the ones paying your salary. And you could kind of hear a penny drop on the floor. You could clearly feel empathy had been exchanged here. And as a consequence of that, this company changed a lot. They changed HR, employing people in a completely different way. They changed the way they do R&D, inventing things which are taking care of people's loneliness. All of this really changed, and it changed because of one little experience, which I think is so important to have in mind.